Kaylee, it looks like I have some more of these career questions here, man. They're coming in pretty hot and heavy. You want to give me a hand answering a few of these?
Let's take a crack at it.
Awesome. I figured you'd be interested. Okay, I don't think this person gave me a full question. Jonathan writes, managing people. I don't know.
Managing people.
I don't know what that is. Managing people. I guess maybe what he's asking is what he can do to better manage people. Maybe something like that. Yeah, let's see if maybe we can try to help him out here. So what would be some ways you think that people can learn to better manage people or just be a better manager in general? What do you think?
Probably with the definition of manager versus leader. I actually don't like the word manager because that entails telling people what to do and expecting them to do it. Being a leader, which is more around guiding a person to make decisions that are going to benefit the greater good of your mission. That's the difference between a manager and a leader in my mind, and for other people, this will be different. So I think, again, this goes back to the mindset of, are you a manager or are you a leader? If you're a leader, which is what I would recommend most people are aspiring to be, then in that case, you want to be helping inspire people. So what does inspiring people actually entail, I think is the next question that comes from that.
I would say that, and this really depends on different industries as well. It really, I mean, again, if you're working like the restaurant industry, I would imagine that's different from sales.
Yes.
Either way, I feel that difference between if you are a leader or a manager. If you're just a supervisor, you want to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. But if you're a leader, if you're a partner or an owner, you want to make sure that an individual knows that you exist. I would say that that's probably the hardest thing that I've seen in my work career, is knowing that my boss is there, he's attentive, he's responsive, he's looking at the good and bad things. He's not just, and he's also giving me the ability to grow with the company, or she, I don't want to leave female bosses out. But having that ability to grow, I almost feel like this person would be restaurant related for some reason.
I think for either situation, if I can interrupt, Michael.
Sure.
There is an element of trust and communication that it boils down to, whether you're considering yourself a manager or a leader. Because if you're not communicating your expectations effectively to the people beneath you, below you, adjacent to you, above you for that matter, they will not know what success is. They will not know what collaboration looks like unless you spell it out for them in the context that you're working in. Step one is you need to communicate effectively what those expectations are, what success looks like, the why behind the question. If you're asking someone, I need you to go over to table 4 and clean up the mess because is the important part, because Susie Q dropped her milk all over the table. You need to have that because. You need to have that why behind the action that you're requesting to help people buy into it. And that's where the communication comes in. And then the trust that the reason you're asking for it again is for the greater good of the organization, of the team, to reach that definition of success that you've already communicated. The trust piece is, again, related to relationship building and rapport, but you have to know somebody to a certain extent in order to build that trust.
Okay, so we have trust, we have communication, and clear guidelines for success. So, Jonathan, if you're listening, that one's for you. And let's see what else we got here. Sai asks, how should I ensure that my work and my contributions get visibility within the company? What new skills do I need to move ahead? Okay, so he's looking at, man, I wish that we would know a little bit more about the industries. So he's looking at work contributions to stand out. So he's looking possibility for promotion. Maybe he hasn't seen it. Maybe he's looking to see where he can move forward with the company. And maybe what new skills does he need to move ahead to be seen? What do you think?
Wow. Again, it is quite difficult to provide sound advice without understanding the industry that he's a part of, what his team's like, what his manager's like, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think there's always something we can do, and it's about focusing on what you control in that scenario. What does the promotion system look like at your organization? If you don't know what recognition looks like where you're working, ask somebody, ask your manager, how do we reward people for good work in this place of business? Or ask your HR person, what does reward and recognition look like at this company? What's the reward and recognition policy? policy. There usually is one if you're at a larger organization. And that will give you a guideline of what you can control in the equation of promotion, recognition, and what success might look like for you at that company.
I would also jump in and say, and this is just the entrepreneur and direction seeker that I am, I would say that if you're looking that hard, and again, I'm reading into the question as well, but I want to make sure that we get whatever options we can decide, and other people that are listening for these type of circumstances. If you're looking that hard for a promotion or recognition and you're not getting that type of recognition at your job, it may be a clear sign that it might be time to move on as well. Because if you are fulfilling a job that you're doing and you're doing it well, and that can be transferable to so many other different companies that do the same thing, maybe better pay or perks. And I just did a video on this not too long ago about, sitting down, talking with your boss, finding the time to review, hey, this is the work that I've been doing, this is what I'm looking forward to, and getting that feedback. If that's not something that you're able to do, that might be a clear sign that, okay, prepare your skills, get yourself in review, take a look at what you've done, what you've accomplished, especially in that job, and get yourself ready potentially for another opportunity that may be out there that you should seek otherwise. That's an alternative that I would say probably something to look at for Sai as well.
Yeah, if I can build upon that for a minute, I completely agree that at some point you have to decide if the cultural fit is not there, right? So if you thrive in performance-based cultures, you want to be recognized for your success, but the organization you work for isn't aligned with that, that might be an opportunity for you to cut your losses and move on to a place that would make you a lot happier and would recognize you more effectively in the long run. The other piece is that you also need to do kind of a holistic assessment and hold the mirror up to yourself in that process and figure out kind of if it's an us or them scenario, because it might be simply that you haven't put your hand up and had that conversation with your manager, that you believe that your good work should be enough to speak for itself. But if your manager has a lot of competing priorities, maybe has a large team, whatever the case may be, unless you sit down with that person, your manager, your leader, whoever is that decision maker for that promotion or that recognition, unless you tell them what you've been up to and how it's been making an impact, they might not even realize how great of a job that you're doing, especially if no news is good news in your team. So I've worked in cultures like that where no news is good news. That means nothing of turmoil has come up, that you've been handling your desk by yourself. That's good news. But unless you tell your leader, in order for there to be no news, I've had to do these 15, 20 awesome things, maybe they just needed that extra information.
I like that. That works as well. Sai, you got one or two different directions to go in. If either of those work for you or anybody who has that similar situation, there you go. Alrighty. Well, Kaylee, I think that's all we have for right now. I do appreciate, again, you helping with this. This is...
Thanks, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have your own recruiter or candidate story that you'd like to share with us? If you're listening on YouTube, comment below. Otherwise, feel free to email your experience to ask@recruitamentary.com. You can find our full conversation of this episode on YouTube at youtube.com/recruitamentary. Thanks for checking out this episode, and feel free to like, subscribe, and share the content. A Mike Tech Studios production.